we're looking at the most trending issue on social media, which is still the dethronement of the Emir of Kano. And of course, since yesterday, after we talked about it here on this platform, there's been some development to the story, which we will be looking at. Sanusi heads to court to challenge his banishment. The deposed Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, has vowed to challenge his banishment in court. This was made known by his lawyer, A.B. Mahmood, a former president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Speaking to newsmen yesterday, Mahmood said the ousted monarch was not served any arrest warrant when he was whisked out of the palace on Monday by a group of security officers. He also said the Kano Emirate Court Law 2019 does not empower the Kano State Executive to banish Sanusi. He pointed out that the dethronement and banishment of Sanusi is a violation of his human rights. Hence, he called on the Inspector General of Police and the Director General of the Department of State Security to immediately and unconditionally release His Highness. In the same vein, Femi Falana has berated the Kano state government over alleged unfair treatment towards Muhammad Sanusi II. Falana said that Sanusi was not given a fair hearing or the opportunity to speak for himself. The lawyer added that the Emir's banishment by the state is a violation of his freedom of movement. Falana referred to the decision of the Kano state government on Sanusi as both illegal and constitutes a violation of his human rights. He said the State Executive Council meeting, which led to Sanusi's deposition, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje was the accuser, the prosecutor, and the witness. All right, so so far, this is where we are. This has been trending seriously since it happened yesterday. But then, coming into this matter from the legal angle, and all of that, what chances do you think the Emir really has?
Well, it depends on what his legal counsel. I think they don't want to even talk about dethronement. They want to talk about the banishment. But one thing there is this: even the dethronement, for some of us that are followers from the step, I know that those people that are apologetic to one side to the other side, we are journalists, we look at issues. First thing there is this: there was a committee set up in the Kano State House of Assembly to look at a petition somebody wrote. And after that, the committee puts the reports back. By the time they now to vote, the House of Assembly to vote, as they were voting, they couldn't hold the headway because they were not starting even counting. Then Executive Council has been called, and that's it. And we know the law, even the Emir Council law, I still have it. In fact, the revised edition said I still have it, and I read through it, and I know some cells that they missed. That one is not even the issue. The issue of banishment, people must understand one thing: if you like, in your village, you should have norms, you should have folkways. In your town, you should have what you do. In your local government, you should have bylaws. In the state, you should have edits. No matter any law in this particular country, there is none that supersedes Constitution of Nigeria. And that is why the first section of 1999 Constitution, as amended in 2010, really stipulated that any other law that go in contrary, that's why they make it the first one. Exactly. Any other law under this shore of this particular country that go against, in contrary to what the Constitution of Nigeria says, is null and void. So the issue of the banishment is not part of our law. In fact, in the edict of any state in this country, there is no place in any edict of any state that can banish them, because it's part of the strong fundamental human right of any state. So I really love.
All right, let us get this clear now. We're not talking about even the dethronement. Yes. It is the banishment.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Just hold your line of thoughts. Let's quickly take a commercial break. We'll be back. All right, welcome back. And in case you're just joining the conversation, we're still looking at the dethronement of the embattled Emir of Kano. All right, quickly summarize what you're saying.
The banishment is not part of our law, any law at all. And I challenge any lawyer that can point to any bylaws, that can point to any edict, in fact, particularly in the Constitution, that talks about the banishment. But one thing there is this: what I would have loved is Sanusi should have not challenge only the banishment, even the dethronement. Because one thing there is this: so far we are following law, you must follow the law to the letter. But one thing again is that that banishment is not part of our Constitution, is not democratic, it's unlawful, and it should not stand, and they should pay compensation to the former Emir of Kano State, because you've not withdrawn his freedom of movement, you have ridiculed his personality, moving him out of a particular place to another state. Another thing again is this: how some certain politicians are power drunk, as if they behave as if they are God. To me, any politician finding any traditional ruler in any part of the country is a lazy politician.
Okay, all right. Before I hear Chuks' contribution and that of Mr. Chris Otaigbe, there's a clip we need to go and see. It's been circulating on social media, and people seem to think that this is the particular speech that put him in trouble. Of course, if you know the embattled Emir very well, I mean, he had a penchant for challenging status quo and speaking truth to power. He didn't care whose ox was actually God. Let's quickly look at that speech. We'll be back.
May come from the failings of politicians. So it's fine to say to a rural villager, you should send your daughter to school. But it's not fine to say to the governor, why haven't you built a school? You don't have food security. You've got millions of children out of school. It's not the fault of the children that they're out of school. Somebody was supposed to build those schools. So the difficulty for traditional institutions is, on the one hand, they're firefighters, and will continue to do that. On the other, to actually address the root causes of extremism, you've got to address questions of governance, education, healthcare, corruption. And to do that is now political. If you take the UNDP OHDI Poverty Index in 2015, poverty levels in Nigeria, 46%. 46% doesn't look too bad compared to other countries. However, if you break these numbers down, in the southwest of Nigeria, 80% are living above the poverty line. In the northwest, 80% are living below the poverty line. And suddenly it becomes two different countries. Okay, and even those numbers don't tell you anything. As governor of Central Bank, I looked at numbers that said people are living on less than $2 a day. And it sounds bad, but you don't really know how bad it is until you look into the eyes of a woman whose baby has just died because she cannot afford drugs worth $5. When we go into crowd resources as states, so you have state governors in the north who have 3 million, 5 million children on the streets without school. They go to China and they're looking for money not to build schools, but to build a light rail. You know, I mean, you spend $2 billion on a light rail. $2 billion. Imagine how many children you would educate with that.
Okay, there you have it, gentlemen. Mr. Chris, sip your coffee. How does speaking the truth now become one's undoing?
Look, it's very simple. First of all, let me say this. It would have been better for them to allow Sanusi to remain as their emir, because that way they'll be able to manage him. But now what you have done, you have only released him.
He's been uncaged.
You have uncaged him. Because the truth that he's telling,
That is not much.
that is telling, right, is the truth that has been staring them in the face for decades. What Sanusi has just done It's just become, it has become the manifest figure for the time for the truth, that truth to be told and be heard. Because Boko Haram is running today, Almajiri is where their camp of recruitment, is likely based on. What he has done now, what this Kano Emir, Kano state governor, and of all people, Gandola, that guy caught with dollars, stuffing dollars all over his brain, all over his body. He's the one now trying to remove somebody. So you can see when time comes, he so ridicules the oppressor, so that the oppressed can wake up quickly. Because I'm telling you right now that banishing, what's his name? Sanusi right now, in fact, for me that is not, if you look at the guy is not really shaking. And that is dangerous for them. Maybe what they had expected was an empty person would then, no, I will fight it. No, it's quite calm and cool. And like his daughter said, our dad is not, his person is not ruled by the material thing that's around him. So they have just released the tiger. And they had better wait for the consequence. And Nigerians, apart from this that he said something at some point, which I'm sure a lot of Southerners will now hold with their right hand. He said, we cannot continue to say because we come from the north to go and be getting leverages and favors and privileges, quota system, federal character, while the Southerners who are busy sending their children to school are being deprived because of our incompetence, because of our backwardness. He has said that into the air. Nigerians, Southerners have gotten it. One day that will rise up. And he said one thing conclusively. He said it won't continue like that all the time.
Yes.
One day a clause will show up and that will close it. So finally what I can say is that let them fight the banishment. We need to test it in court. Just like you rightly said, the dethronement should have been added to it. Because that dethronement was occasioned by our colonial masters who destroyed all that is traditional and cultural to us. And we cannot continue that ourselves. We can't colonize ourselves now. So that has to be tried in court too. But as for what he has done, which has occasioned his dethronement, not only Kano, let nobody be fooled. Nobody cannot say governor. Kano State governor is just representing the voice of the I don't want to use a bad word on air. Of the northern elites, who have been behind the backwardness of the north, who have been the architects of the poverty of the north, which this guy is trying to champion, who have been the people who have subjected 80%, over 80% of the northerners below poverty line. All right, Chooks, let me hear your perspective on this.
Let me say first of all that I wasn't surprised that this happened. It didn't come to me as a surprise because if you follow the issues, you understand why they landed where they are. And I commend Sanusi for being that bold and then standing by whatever he believes and then speaking truth to whoever cares. And but I was part of the people who wondered why Sanusi wanted to be Emir, because I felt a man of his caliber with all the credentials could go and be locked up in one
Exactly.
And I didn't think it was a good thing for Nigeria. Because I'm listening to him, I remember what happened between him and Jonathan. This is a guy who stands to tell you what it is. So if you understand how these traditional institutions, it is not where you go and do human rights.
Yes,
that's the truth. It is not where you do activism.
Yes,
because that's why you're a royal father. There are things you are not expected to be saying publicly. There are things you chew before you say, because you understand the consequences, because you are sitting on a throne. So you chew
that
your
carries
word.
so much weight.
So for someone like him to want to go on that throne, first instance I was like, I doubt if this guy will be able to deal with some of those things. And let us not forget is Nigeria, we suffer from what I call hypocritical amnesia. We tend to pretend that we have forgotten. Meanwhile, we just decide not to remember that Sanusi was not meant to be the Emir. That was the fight between Sanusi and Jonathan. That Jonathan preferred another, the Bayero, I think it's Bayero's son.
Ado Bayero, that's the one there, Ado Bayero.
And then it was the same Gandola and co. and Kwankwaso as governor and Ganduje as deputy. They were the ones that insisted this same Sanusi was going to be Emir against the federal government's wish. If you remember that the installation of Sanusi was done, like in the hiding, they took the federal government unawares and did it before the federal government could make their own pronouncement.
So there is a part of karma in
that. So what I'm saying is that these are the people that you work with to come in. You also need to learn how to manage them. But I don't envy Sanusi, because what happened, because we need to put all this political angle on the table so people understand what is playing out. What happened was that when Kwankwaso fell out with the APC and moved to PDP, the deputy remained in APC as governorship candidate. It was that campaign that triggered what we are seeing today. Let us not forget. Because in that campaign, Sanusi was torn in between supporting Ganduje or supporting Kwankwaso.
Sure.
And these are two people who you work with. So maybe getting your calculations wrong, he felt the PDP was going to have it and then backed Kwankwaso's son-in-law also, who was contesting against Ganduje. That was the genesis of this. If you remember, the first thing they did was to first of all reduce his emirate and say everybody should, and they left him with 2 or so, and then again reminded him that you're actually supposed to be talking to local government chairman, not the governor. That's actually what the law is. So I think this is about friendship gone sour, and then they are just dragging all of us into it. But I know the North very well. I hear people sit down here in the South and we talk, and I feel like this matter, the way it will end, you will not know.
But not in this particular case.
I just put it on record.
Can I say something?
Already, the governor of Kaduna State has already offered him position. And these are the same leaders of thought in the North that we're talking about. Because already the Nasarawa
state governor
who has been summoned to the presidency has gone to see the president. So let us not be carried away by this and face other issues.
But what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to make you understand is, he has already spoken the truth to power. Somebody out there will grab it, and that will become a movement, with or without him. And that's how revolution starts. It may not be the person who moved it or who initiated it, but once that truth is out there, because why? You are going to start looking at northern women today whose eyes have been opened that actually
you have to go to school.
We need to go to school. It is not our fate to be illiterate. Number 2, our children. How come our so-called elders and leadership allow them to be on the streets while their own children are away somewhere? They are going to be asking questions. The women will start asking questions. Those children will start asking questions. The youth will start asking questions. Right now, the North is on a particular platform now that is not good for them. They can compromise Sanusi today and silence him tomorrow. That truth is out there.
Sorry, just 1 minute.
Quickly.
But the point I was trying to make, I hope you watched the way he was taken out from the palace. He was escorted. Long convoy. And he was eventually picked by a plane. They used a plane to move him, and eventually picked up again to somewhere. Somebody is approving those planes. Somebody is approving those escorts. People are approving those security.
So you're wondering what really is going on.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like a sting operation.
I've seen that even on here, on social media, a lot of people have been saying it can only happen in North. For some of us that are students of history, in 1963, Oba Adeyemi Alaafin of Oyo was disposed, also banished by Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the premier of Western region. So automatically, with the kind of politicians we have, with the kind of power they have, to God who made me. They have the stick. No king.
Sorry to add.
No king.
It also, I don't know what's happening to Sanusi now. Happened to his grandfather.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whose style he actually took on. Even the way the man tied his turban and everything. In fact, I recall what happened that time. Ahmadu Bello was the premier of the North.
Yes.
And you understand. So when the guy was about to depose that emir, what he did was he sent Ibrahim Keita, Isa Keita rather, to Tafawa Balewa. And then the man, when he came to Lagos, he met Tafawa Balewa with 5 other northern ministers. You had Maitama Sule, Tundu Wada, Deep Cherima, you have Ribadu's father, Muhammadu Ribadu, you have one other person in that room. And the guy said, Ranka Didi, I have come to tell you that our premier sent me to tell you that he is going to remove this man. And they are, no, you can't do that, that's not good. He didn't send me to take permission. He just sent me to inform you. He's already going to do it. And then that happened. But the difference between that time and now, for me, is that those people were a bit more moral. So they did it for certain causes that you could see that were more noble. But this guy was more like a garage tout. Do you understand? We are talking about a government who had brought down the prestige and the integrity of the state by all that the Gandola drama that would never fizzle out. And you are the one. So between him and Ahmadu Bello, you can understand what I'm saying.
Yes. Okay. All right, let's push it along. Anyways, since his dethronement, a lot of prominent Nigerians and even non-Nigerians have rallied around Sanusi in solidarity and also offering him solace. For instance, former President Olusegun Obasanjo reacted to the dethronement by writing a letter. He shared the letter via his official Twitter handle.
Night post. The night post on
gentlemen, please. According to Olusegun Obasanjo, the dethronement is both a good news and a bad news. He wrote, and I quote, I woke up this morning and after my morning exercise, devotion and morning meeting with my staff, I heard the sad and the good news of your removal by the Executive Council of the Kano State Government. It is sad because it is now, this is where the controversy has been on social media. I am thinking it is a typographical error. Obasanjo wrote, it is underserved. I think he meant undeserved. Now people are saying it is deliberate. Trust Nigerians to always pick up.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, he said it is sad because it is I choose to go with undeserved.
Let
it
us
is
go
good.
With what is in the letter because
but do you know why they are putting it in that context or pushing it to that context? Obasanjo had already said in that letter, it is good and bad.
So
then you have already left it to those interpretations.
Okay. Also, the widow of the late Nelson Mandela, Graca Machel, has expressed solidarity also with Sanusi in a letter signed and addressed to Sanusi on Tuesday. She said she was saddened to learn of his dethronement. She described Emir Sanusi as a bold inspiration for leaders and offered to help him during this challenging time. And she went on to say, you are not alone in your struggle to confront corruption and social ills burdening northern Nigeria. Also, just a day after his dethronement, the Kaduna State government has announced the appointment of the deposed Emir of Kano, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, into the board of Kaduna Investment Promotion Agency, Kadipa. According to Governor El Rufai, Kaduna State hopes to benefit from the profile, experience, intellect, and networks of His Highness Muhammad Sanusi, who before becoming Emir had built a solid reputation in global financial circles. Malam Nasser El Rufai said that Kaduna State is honored to be able to call on the services of a man of such caliber to drive its development. Now, guys, it looks like A good thing definitely always comes out of a bad thing.
I'm telling you that a lot of African countries that are even waiting on board, even the United Nations, we know he has a lot of things with United Nations. We know, even currently now on some certain vision they have for development in Africa. Is only one, even in the western part of Africa, is the only one. So if you are looking at Sanusi as a man, we are talking about a public figure in Africa. In fact, I do tell some certain people that there is one thing they can't use to bring it down. That is the issue of corruption. They are trying to sell in land. I say Sanusi will now sell land 2-point-something billion. Sanusi that have been in charge of trillion. Although I believe that if somebody is a thief, is going to be a thief. But one thing there is this: anything that has not been pronounced by courts, you can't say somebody has done it. But one thing there is this: thank God they have left Kano for them. But I think it's an opportunity for other states to tap from this well of experience, other continents to tap. But I know this particular issue, Umalein.
Yes, it will.
All right.
But you know, if I wish there was a way I could reach Muhammad Sanusi Lamido today, I would tell him politely, please politely turn down that Kaduna offer. Because he's bigger than that.
Yes.
And that is, just as Chooks hinted, that's a way of silencing the matter. You should just politely, it can help El-Rufai in another capacity from anywhere in the world. Great, I take Greca Markel's word there, I don't take it lightly.
Okay.
Or, like I keep saying, thank God they have spared his life, and let God continue to spare his life. And I'm saying that guardedly. All I need Sanusi to do for me and for Nigerians and for the generation he wants to help with his vision is to find his way out of this country. He will get far better position, and he's more needed as a global citizen to tackle African challenge.
Than to be
do you understand? So I wish he's watching this program now, or somebody who knows him is watching this program now, or he will get to this program at some point. Let him be known, let it be on record that, please sir, you can help El-Rufai in whatever capacity from any part of this universe. But right now, politely turn that down and get out of this country and go and take your place as a global citizen, as a global visionary.